Namaskar friends and welcome to this press conference. As you are aware, the 43rd GST Council met today, nearly 8 months after its last meeting. Honorable Finance Minister and her team are here to brief us on the outcome of the meeting. I take this opportunity to welcome the Honorable Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji. I extend a warm welcome to you, Madam. I also extend a warm welcome to Honorable Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur ji. My warm welcome to Secretary Revenue, Shri Tarun Bajaj, Chairman CBIC, Shri Ajit Kumar, Member CBIC, Shri Vivek Johri. Friends, Honorable Finance Minister will make her remarks on the outcome of the meeting. Later, we will take some questions. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar and sorry for a delayed start of the press conference, but that's also because the meeting has just ended. We've had a very detailed, engaging discussion in the GST Council. Yes, it's right. We are meeting after, the Council is meeting after quite some time. It last met in October and it was due to meet sometime early February. But I'm sure our media friends will be aware that February was budget. February was also the time when in Parliament I had to clear the finance bill. Post that, immediately, even as the Parliament session was on, Model Code of Conduct was on, elections were happening in 5 states. And post the election, immediately after the new governments were formed, we've had this council. A council meeting in between would have meant that finance ministers from 5 states wouldn't have been present. So we were aware that the sooner the governments are formed, immediately after that, the council meeting would be held. So that was today's meeting's background. Today, several decisions have been taken. I'd broadly touch upon some of the decisions, and via the question answers, I think we'll be able to get into the details of the decisions, if that is suitable for you. Issues of COVID-related equipments was one item in the agenda which had a very detailed discussion. Several issues were within it raised and discussed, and you are aware that ad hoc exemptions were given for many of these COVID-related items. The Council has decided to exempt the import of relief items, even if they are purchased, if these are meant for donating to the government or on recommendation of the state authority to any relief agency. Also, this exemption has been extended till 31st August 2021. So far, the IGST exemption was available only when you were importing free of cost. This exemption also has been extended to 31/8/2021. With the rising cases of black fungus, a particular medicine which is required for it called amphotericin B has also been included into the exemption list. The rates of these exemptions provided, and the rates from where they were having been brought down to some, in some cases 5%, some cases 12%, and so on, were all very clearly discussed. And what has been suggested by the fitment committee was put before the put before the council. However, there was this protracted discussion on it with varying viewpoints. So I have decided and announced in the council to have a group of ministers quickly formed who will submit their report within 10 days, which is 8th of June, on or before 8th June, so that if there are any further reductions which need to be done, will be done. In the sense, the rates will be decided by them. So in a way, the exemptions that we had been given, but any new rates will now be decided by them. By the GOM, which will get constituted, I suppose, by tomorrow. There were other GST issues which were also discussed. Some clarificatory agenda have also been added to it. There will be a press release which will be giving you all the details. As always, the duty or responsibility of the council's administration, the secretariat of the council, is to draw the attention of the GST council on the inversion related matters. You are very familiar that we have raised it once before, twice before. Particular items were also shown as those in which we have problems about inversion, which results in revenue not being generated as much as the refunds being given. So that was raised even today with two examples put forward of textiles and footwear. Like last year, and rightly, it was felt by the council that this is not the appropriate time to go for the correction in the inversion duty. So that remains where it is. I think one of the biggest decisions of today is on the reduction of compliance burden of small taxpayers and also some medium-sized taxpayers. Late fee amnesty related matters have also been decided upon. So in order to provide relief to the small taxpayers, an amnesty scheme has been recommended for reducing the late fee payable in these cases. So a large number of taxpayers will benefit from it, because our rough assessment is about 89% of the GST paying, or 89% of the GST taxpayers constitute small taxpayers. So taxpayers can now file their pending returns and avail the benefit of this amnesty scheme with reduced late fees. Late fees have also been rationalized so that it's not too high for some and too low, and also the issue of providing a long-term relief. So the rationalized late fee and the decision to reduce maximum amount of late fee for small taxpayers will come into effect for the future tax periods. So this will provide a long-term relief to smaller taxpayers. I'm flagging all the decisions. We'll get into the details a bit later. Annual return filing has also been simplified. I'll give you the details a bit later. You'll know that the Council has recommended to amend the CGST Act to allow for self-certification of reconciliation statements instead of getting it certified by chartered accountants. You know, this is a decision of 2020 of the GST Council, and that has also become a part of the Finance Act of this year. Then the annual return filing will continue to be optional for financial year 2020-21 for small taxpayers having turnover less than 2 crores, while reconciliation statements for the year 2020-21 will be furnished only by those taxpayers whose turnover is 5 crore or more. Then there was a discussion about the quarterly return filing and quarterly payment, the QRQP. There's a bit of a discussion on it. The modalities of the scheme have also got to be worked out, so the law committee will be looking into it. Almost near the end of the day's discussion was this discussion on the compensation cess. The same formula as is of last year will be adopted this year also. So a rough estimate that the center will have to borrow about 1.58 lakh crores and pass it on to the states on a back-to-back arrangement like we did last year. But more importantly, on the compensation cess-related matters, we are in the last of the 5 years of the 14% compensation, which is protected revenue-based compensation discussion. Even from last year, there's been worry if there will be an opportunity to extend it beyond July 22. So I've assured the members that there will be a special session only to discuss that one agenda of how compensation cess will be collected, how long will it be collected, how much will be collected beyond July 22. So there will be a special session, and I've assured the members that we'll call that as early as possible. So these are broad contours, but of course we can get into the details once the question answers session is started off.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 18.
Ma'am, just wanted to know from you, why was there a lack of consensus on this important issue about COVID-related? Because this entire country, as you are well aware, is already suffering from a second surge. Didn't the GST Council understand the importance of giving relief to the common man? And if this group of ministers is constituted, will it have to go back to a GST Council, or it will be a decision of the GM will be binding on the GST Council?
I'm happy you mentioned, will it benefit the common man? Exactly on that was the discussion. Because it's one thing to rush to say, do this, it will benefit the common man. But when you go technical committee, the fitness committee, the fitment committee, the law committee, go into the details, you realize that that could have collateral impact on many others. I'm not talking about the revenue generation aspect, but how many other items will get included in it, as a result of which, how are you going to implement it? and such questions. And will actually these benefits, because they are going to manufacturers or intermediaries who are bringing it from somewhere, the local manufacturer, will actually these benefits eventually be passed over to the end user, the patient, the citizen? On that, there were differing views. And therefore, I suggested that a GOM go into the details and then take a call. I would underline the fact that it is not as if there was one segment which said, oh, on humanitarian consideration, you have to do it. And another segment said, we don't care for the humanitarian segment. No. As a council, we are responsible to see how actually it will reach the end user, which is the common man of the country. So on that, there were substantial points which highlighted this argument as much as that argument. And therefore, we have to go into the details. The GOM will be coming back, and we will probably discuss among ourselves and take a call on how to immediately take a call, final call on it.
And number 22.
Good evening, ma'am. Sapna here from CNBC TV 18. You just clarified on the rate issue, but just wanted to understand very broadly, if possible. A couple of items you've already agreed, the council has already agreed to reduce the rates from 12% to 5%, ma'am. That's one. I suppose the issue remains in terms of drugs, COVID-related drugs, and the COVID vaccine, which are, I think, currently at 5%, ma'am. Kindly correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am. So on this matter, once the GOM gives its recommendations on 8 June, will the council also meet again? And also, why couldn't a quicker decision be taken today, ma'am? Is it really a very complex issue? Because as questions are being raised in terms of the consumer